Hi, we're Team 4, and today we will be discussing rollout strategies for two R&B artists under the same label. We wanted to explore the impact of different rollout strategies throughout the lens of a label. To demonstrate this, we decided it was best to compare two artists of the same caliber, both female and R&B artists. We chose Summer Walker and Ari Lennox. They also happen to be under the same label, Interscope Records. We wanted to demonstrate the impact of artists using unconventional and creative rollout strategies versus artists who just stick to conventional methods for rollout. For example, Summer Walker used a guerrilla marketing campaign for both her albums, Over It and Still Over It, while Ari Lennox stuck to a traditional music rollout strategy.
Before we dive into the analysis, we wanted to take the time to establish the context of these two artists. So Summer Walker and Ari Lennox are both R&B artists, Summer being based out of Atlanta and Ari being based out of Washington, D.C. The photos above demonstrate that the two singers have almost identical top cities by listeners on Spotify besides Sydney for Summer and Atlanta for Ari. And here we can see that Summer Walker and Ari Lennox have very similar fan bases in terms of demographics based on Instagram followers and personality traits. Both artists have a primarily female Instagram following, and when it comes to age distribution for both artists, the majority are within the 25 to 34-year-old range, and the other groups are almost identical as well. When it comes to personality traits, Summer and Ari are almost identical in the 5 attributes, with extroverted and open being the top 2. These insights demonstrate the similarities in location and audience type between the two R&B artists. The significance of these similarities will be discussed in the conclusion, so this is just some context to keep in mind as we go forward. And so first up, we have Ari Lennox, who had a conventional rollout strategy using digital marketing, which consisted of featuring her songs on different platforms, releasing music videos, and touring, as you can see in the above timeline. Her album, Shea Butter Baby, ended up debuting at 104 on the Billboard 200 album charts, and her record label, Dreamville, had released her album on an off cycle, and so they released the song on a Tuesday rather than a Friday because she was an emerging artist and they didn't want her to worry about her chart performance, which is much different than Summer Walker's rollout strategy for Over It and Still Over It.
So Summer Walker first began utilizing guerrilla marketing with the release of her debut album, Over It, in 2019. Before its release, phone booths popped up in major cities, luring fans in to get a first listen and to leave a voicemail for Walker herself. Both the booth and the album were a huge success, and Over It achieved the biggest streaming week ever for an R&B album by a woman. She employed the same method of marketing for her most recent album, Still Over It. She teased its release by announcing that a hard drive with the album on it would be placed in a glass box in various cities, challenging fans to break it open and gain an exclusive opportunity to listen to the album early. Continuing to use this type of marketing allowed Summer Walker to surpass her own previous success with Over It. Still Over It became the biggest album debut by a female identifying artist ever on Apple Music. And hosting these type of events not only helped there be more hype surrounding the release of her albums, but it allowed fans to feel more connected with Summer Walker and with other fans that they met at the events as well.
From each guerrilla marketing campaign, Summer Walker gained considerable momentum demonstrated at the 2 peaks, while Ari Lennox's release of Shea Butter Baby did not contribute much to her audience growth. If we look particularly at the start of the Still Over campaign, we can see that Summer Walker and Ari Lennox's numbers peaked at the same time, likely due to the fact that Ari was featured on Summer Walker's album. From audiences' insights, both singers' audiences have a desire for modernity, which highlights how an innovative guerrilla marketing strategy spoke to the fans. Summer Walker's audience prioritizes independence and the pursuit of pleasure, which is why her performative and disruptive installations spoke to her market. The success of Summer Walker's campaign can be duplicated by creating installations that resonate with Ari Lennox's audience specifically. In a nutshell, guerrilla marketing allows artists to connect with their fans in a memorable way by creating a space where the artist is humanized and fans can connect with each other. From the eyes of the label, this strategy would be advantageous for other similar artists. Thank you for listening, and we would love to open it up to questions.
Amazing, thanks so much. And we've already got some questions, I think. Heather?
Yeah, excuse me, guys. Really cool. I like the idea of comparing within a kind of label subset of how they do things. Did you guys notice? I know there's a lot of focus on Spotify and the monthly listeners. Did you notice if there was a correlation between the amount of video content, though, between the two artists that were rolled out that caused and helped elevate that? Like, did Summer's team, did they capture more video that took off a little bit better with some of those campaign ideas, or just curious on the amount of video content rolled around that?
Summer Walker definitely released some video along with the guerrilla marketing campaigns. So she definitely had more of an impact. Whereas, as we mentioned earlier, Ari Lennox just released the basic music video. She didn't release any like promo videos or campaign videos that would pretty much catalyze her music in a way. And so, yeah, to answer your question, Summer Walker did use video as well, but Ari Lennox just put out basic music videos.
Yeah,
If I
unfortunately.
could, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead, Mira.
I was just going to say, in addition to the part about Summer Walker, she kind of started with more of a digital marketing strategy. So she announced the release of Still Over It by releasing a promo video filmed on the set of the album cover of her first album. So that was featuring an artist who was featured in her first single that she released from the second album. So she started with a pretty strong digital marketing strategy and then moved into the guerrilla marketing after the album had already been announced.
Yeah, but when it comes to analyzing the video views on YouTube and stuff like and engagement, we did not have an opportunity to move in that direction, but that's definitely, something we can expand upon with this project. Yeah.
Great. And then Alex?
Yeah, thank you. Well done, guys. That was great. This is an open question, really, is that we all know that playlists tend to drive a lot of streams, and a lot of those playlists are updated on a Friday. So do you think that Ari Lennox releasing on a Tuesday actually, I guess, led to that lack of peak in streams, or do you think it was down to other things?
Personally, I feel like a lot of indie artists strategically release on a Tuesday now because larger artists release on Fridays, and there's just no way to compete with, Summer Walker releasing on a Friday. So I would be interested to look more into the stats on the impact that had. But I think the takeaway from our presentation is, the guerrilla marketing really tapped into the emotions that she evokes with her music with her fans, especially in, allowing her fans to come together and congregate together and get to know each other and build that community, talk about how trashy men are together, like all that type of good stuff. So I think with Ari Lennox, that's something that she could do as well in the future. Yeah.
Thank you.